I mean, there was an interesting article that I saw on Google, and I saw it on a website, but I'm gonna get into that later. But it was talking about how white women are better parents to black men than black women, because black women only raise their sons to be docile and not be vocal and fight against the system of white supremacy, which is interesting because black women seem like they always want black men to fight against white supremacy. But anyway, it seems like white women are better parents to black men because they guide them in the right way. They help them achieve their goals, and they empower them to be dominant and challenge white dominated spaces, and challenge the white man for economic, economic, like economic power, and just just general power in general. Like they raise the black man to be dominant in these white controlled spaces and challenge the white man for resources and power over over the world. But anyway, let's get into the article. Basically, the article says that black men are failing catastrophically. Are black mothers to blame? Now, this article is written by Janet Bloomfield, aka Judgy Bitch. Well, this is basically just a little summary at the beginning, but she talked about how it's relevant. It's irrelevant. Let's get into the study. A new study has been published that offers a new explanation for the enormous achievement gaps between white and black boys and men. It turns out that when black boys are raised by one group of women, the achievement gap disappears. So there goes the genetic basis for IQ differences argument. What group of women magically erases the poor educational, employment, and economic outcomes typical for black men and boys? Basically, what she's saying here is that black women don't help black men basically close the wealth gap and close the achievement gap, and black women don't help black men erase the poor educational and employment and economic outcomes. So black women are technically really bad. They raise black men really badly. They raise them to be drug dealers, thugs, and if black women raise them, they just let them do whatever they want, and they probably end up dead or a drug dealer running the streets. So she said that white women are raising black men much better than black women. That's basically what she said at the beginning. Black boys raised by white women do just as well as white children raised by white women, controlling for variables like socioeconomic status, education, income, etc. And of course, the big question is why. There are a couple of theories the researchers measuring this phenomenon post. Some are simple and some are much more complex. Black boys raised by white mothers tend to have distinctively white rather than black speech patterns. That basically reminds you of Barack Obama. He's very articulate for a black guy. I mean, obviously, like, technically, like, black men are not very articulate when they're raised by single black mothers, because black women themselves are not articulate. Because, I mean, even though they say they're strong and independent, they've failed their boys. They don't give a damn about black boys. I mean, there's a movement. I mean, if you look at it properly, there's a movement to abort black male boy babies. So what makes you think that black women are gonna raise their sons as well as they raise their daughters? But anyway, let's get back into the article. Those speech patterns allow black boys to avoid a wage penalty as men. White mothers have an entirely different approach to education, teachers, in the school system. I mean, black women are just crazy, like in their approach to education. Every single time their sons get into trouble, they want to go into the school and they want to fight the teachers. They want to sue the school, and they don't even have a serious approach to education. They don't give a damn, and are treated differently by the school system no matter what race their children are. This clearly has an impact on the outcomes for children. White mothers are more likely to be married and raising children with a father at present, which has all kinds of benefits for children. I mean, white women are more likely to keep the man in the home and do it for the sake of the children, but as soon as the black man does one thing wrong, the black woman wants to walk out, she wants to run away, she wants to put the dude on child support, She just wants to throw the whole relationship away if something goes wrong. Yeah, I mean, she raises hell, she goes mental, she goes crazy if you do one thing wrong. But white women are generally able to basically try and work it out with you, try and work out the relationship. They don't just leave after one thing happens. Anyway, let's continue. I want to flip the question over and ask, rather than what are white women doing right and what advantages do they have, to what are black women doing wrong and why are they doing it wrong? What the hell do I know about how and why black women raise their children the way they do? From personal experience, obviously fuck all, but I don't subscribe to standpoint epistemology, a feminist theory that claims you can only really know your own experience, and attempting to understand another person's experience is racist and supremacist. Now, this part is key. What are black women doing wrong and why are they doing it wrong? What are they doing wrong? Black women are doing a lot of things wrong. They're raising their children wrong. They're raising their sons to be docile and not actually be dominant and not challenge these white male spaces because they want things to be they want things to stay the same as they are right now. They don't want anything to change. Why are they doing it wrong? Because they don't want anything to change and they want things to stay the way they are because they have benefits like feminism and welfare in Section 8. Now she's just talking about a lot of books that she used to read, which isn't really relevant. Oh, here it is. The book that came to mind was Melissa Harris Perry's Sister Citizen, Shame, Stereotypes, and Black Women in America. In that book, Harris Perry spends a lot of time talking about how the myth of the strong black woman impacts the daily lives of black women. See? The myth of the strong black woman. They always want to talk about how they're strong and independent. They don't need no man. I mean, haven't you realized they're the only race of women that talk about how they're strong and independent? I don't think there's any female populist that is valued on their strength. The, females are only valued on their on their femininity. They're not valued on their masculinity. I think this myth is ground zero in the major difference between white and black mothers. It's the reasons black women do a shit job with their sons. Let's go back to the 1960s and consider two families on the verge of true prosperity. One white, one black. They live in a town somewhere in the southern states where the majority industry is, let's say, furniture manufacturing. Both families consist of a mother, father, and 3 children. Both are renting properties and saving for a down payment on a home. The white guy, let's call him Chuck, works at one of the local furniture plants full-time as a finisher. He is covered by a collective agreement that includes severance, vacation pay, retraining, and a top-up for unemployment insurance. The black guy, let's call him Anthony, couples together 40 hours a week, working as a janitor at 3 different plants, all part-time. He's not covered by the union. Both men are getting by setting aside a little each week to make that down payment on the white picket house of their dreams. Taking care of their children and wife and genuinely feeling pretty good about themselves. The US government approves cheap imports of Canadian lumber and all 3 furniture plants are suddenly facing serious competition from plants close to the Canadian border. Within a year, all 3 are in receivership and bought only out by the competition, who is moving all positions to the north. Full-time employees are offered positions at the new parent factory. Chuck now gets to decide whether to move the whole family to New Hampshire, take advantage of retraining options. He doesn't need to touch the money he saved for a down payment, he can take it with him. Anthony is now a full-time employee and is not offered a transfer and is not a skilled employee anyways. He has no severance and no retraining options and no reasonable option of comparable employment in the area. His wife couples together a few part-time jobs. He gets a few handyman and cleanup gigs here and there. They both work their asses off, but it doesn't take long before their down payment is gone, and they are in serious need of assistance. They apply for welfare and are approved, but it comes with a condition. Anthony cannot live in the same house as his wife and children. That speaks to another issue, which is welfare and feminism. Welfare put the black man out of the home, and it empowered the women to feel like they don't need a man. This is a perfect example. The women took the welfare instead of the black man. They didn't want the black man in the home. They wanted the welfare, and That's it. And then that put the women in a preeminent position over the men. This is obviously a materially. Let's continue with the article. This is obviously a materially different circumstance than slave families being sold away from one another. But is it an emotionally different circumstance? I don't think it takes a person with superhuman empathy to see this is a devastating choice. Your husband or your children, pick one. This was the reality for millions of black families when the recession hit in the 70s. No welfare for families with men in the home. This wasn't something that applied to just the black families, but it hit them the hardest and effectively destroyed the black nuclear family and by extension black prosperity and community. Now, look at this little part, this paragraph. The key part, I'm going to read the whole thing, but watch for the key part. Black mothers raise girls who go on to educational, economic, and employment achievements far more frequently than they raise boys who do the same. If it were a matter these women are just dumb, there shouldn't be any demonstrable difference between the outcomes of boys and girls. But there is. Black women hate men and by extension hate their sons. They resent them. And in all likelihood, they visit far more abuse, both physical and emotional, upon them for reasons that have to do with structural policy-driven government decisions that black men sure as hell didn't vote for, approve of, or ask for. See, the part that is key is black women hate men and by extension, they hate their sons. So, since their father left them, they hate men and they hate black men. But subconsciously, they hate their sons because they see the image of the black man in their son, which is why they resent them. Hattisberry makes a compelling case that no matter what the culture has thrown at black women, they soldier on. They keep going and try to keep their heads up, but underwriting her understandable pride in the tenacity and endurance of black women is an undercurrent that acknowledges the fact that black women forced to raise children alone is both tragic and heinous. The eradication of black men from the everyday lives of black women and children is a heartbreaking legacy of Jim Crow and welfare reform laws. There is nothing good or strong or empowering about it. Enter feminism. Feminists are engaged in an all-out war against black families, including black families. Oh no, they're against all families, not just black families. Feminists convince black women that struggling to raise children without the love and support and companionship of a man is a badge of honor, is a sign of strength, courage, bravery, and valor, which couldn't be further from the truth because white feminists told black women to be race first, but they told their white male counterparts that they would be my bad, I messed up. Feminists convinced black women to be gender first, but they told their white male counterparts that they would be race first. So they've been duped. Black women have been duped and just hoodwinked. If something in your life sucks, blame the man, and that includes black men. Blame black men. I mean, that's if all else goes wrong, blame the black man. That's pretty much the motto of the world, right? Is it any wonder black women resent and hate their sons? Is it any wonder they raise thugs and gangsters? Give those exact same boys to white women who have been taught to a much, much lesser extent that they don't need no man, and those boys become accountants and neurosurgeons and HVAC technicians and entrepreneurs. Feminists try hard to make all women hate men and blame men for their own personal choices, but this message hasn't been stuck well with white women in general, because it wasn't backed up with widespread institutional racism and discrimination that prevented white men from supporting their white wives and children. Feminists' greatest triumph has been with black women, and the fact that black women can't raise their boys to success, but white women can, tells you all you need to know about the incredibly destructiveness of feminism. So basically, this just shows that feminism is just a branch of white supremacy, and black women have been duped into aligning themselves with white women who told them to be gender first, but white women were being race first when they went back to their white male counterparts. So, I mean, black women have just been completely betrayed. I've said it before, but it's worth saying again. Black women who think white women have their best interests at heart are insane. Rich, pampered white women whose biggest problem is who will pay their $6 birth control bill, and guys who sit comfortably on the subway will never care more about you than your husbands, sons, brothers, fathers, uncles, nephews, neighbors, all the men in your own communities will. I mean, this is a white woman writing this article, and she is basically telling black women that feminism duped them and that welfare and Section 8 was basically co opted by the government to give black women a false sense of security into thinking that they don't need a man, that they don't need a man. White women raise black boys better than you do, black women. That should make you want to puke. It should make you crazy or angry. It should make you want to scream and punch something and cry. You can't blame all of it on racism and feminism, although all of those things play a huge role. So this white woman is telling black women that you guys should be mad that we do a better job raising your sons than you do. I mean, black women need to be held accountable for a lot of different things. It starts with you and your relationship to your sons and their father. Stop hating them, start loving them. Understand that you have years and years of hate egged on by feminists to overcome. Black men need to trust you again. Give them a reason to. Lots of love, JB. So basically, this article, to sum it up, talks about how black women failed black men and how they took on a lot of different things that the government told them they should do, and they aligned themselves with feminism and Section 8 and welfare and child support to basically put the black man down, and it's worked to a certain extent. But white women, to a lesser degree, they believe that they know their place and they feel like they should empower their men and stick by him through thick and thin. So it is what it is. But anyway, tell me what you guys think in the comment section, and I'm out. Peace.